going to be dealt with. I'm happy, like you rightly said, how many months to the end of tenure we have been at it. The joy for me is that, yes, even though we must keep at saying and continue to say what is right, they pretend as if they are not listening. Eventually, a time is going to come where, by the way, was it that said, come has become, when come eventually will become, and we'll get our country, our nation back.
All right, well, this one story that I'd like us to take a look at talks about the grazing routes. The federal government, President Muhammadu Buhari, pardon me, has also insisted that grazing routes must stay, irrespective of what you think. PDP orders cake is the banner headline of the Punch newspaper this morning. Grazing routes. Buhari dismisses state police, but he insists on grazing routes. The opposition party, Afenifere, carpets the president for saying state police not an option. Ohaneze plans meeting as the president dismisses plea for Nnamdi Kanu's release. He said we've got to go back to grazing routes to address farmers and herders. Clashes. Mr. Fetsuke, that smile was quite pregnant.
Yes, remember back in the days, with our mothers. God bless our mothers.
Mr. Fetsuke, before you hold that thought a little, let me delve into that story a little bit. Now, the president insisted that the establishment of grazing routes would solve the problem of farmers and herders clash in the country. It's been a while we heard that anyway. Farmers and herders are no longer clashing. Bandits have suddenly taken over. Are you not surprised that every stage of insecurity that we go through is one giving way for one? It used to be farmers and herders. No. It used to be cattle rustling. And then it became farmers and herders clashing. And then it became bandits, kidnapping people. So is it that crime is evolving, insecurity is evolving? Because now we want to resolve a problem that has not reared its ugly head in a couple of months.
I tell you, you are asking me why I smiled.
Yeah. You did smile.
And I was going to ask you to go back to the days of our mothers.
Our mothers.
And you are doing certain things that you know she would not like. I should give you a smile. Good boy. Good boy, good girl. But inside of you are sweating.
Because you are
going to meet your Golgotha very, very, very soon. Yeah, I like to say to Mr. President that despite hues and cries of the impracticability of what you are suggesting, is one permitted to say this on radio, that I don't think Mr. President has understood the dynamics of what we are talking about, the impracticability of what is said to be in the first place.
He has an advisor.
In the first place.
Who must have considered all of that.
How is he going to do that in the short term that he has with the litigations, the impracticability? I think part of the problems that our rulership has is the fact that things are not thought through. It's easy for you to sit down and say, yeah, this is exactly what I'm going to do, without looking at that. You're making this point that he has advisors, and I'm not saying...
I'm not surprised that the advisors can actually recommend as part of the things that to amend in the Constitution.
I'm not saying he hasn't gotten advisors, but Mr. President understands it. You don't have to finish primary school to recognize the fact that the buck stops not on the advisor's table, but it stops on your table. I see a situation where Mr. President still does not understand. One, if Mr. President, according to what we've heard, operates a ranch, he has a ranch, and I am not aware that cows from his ranch have been going around, why is he now then saying that
not everybody has the wherewithal to establish a ranch?
Oh, yes, not everybody has a wherewithal to establish a ranch, but do we have a wherewithal to now begin to create grazing routes? Is it just going to come from nowhere? If the penal, the northern stuff, he said he has asked they should go and look for the Gazette. Mr. President, you need to see the Gazette yourself and see who has done what. Perhaps the Aso Rock that you are sitting in is on a grazing route, Mr. President, and we have to send you to Ajegunle to come. You know, because when you don't think through some of these things, it therefore means when Lord Acton said, "Power corrupts,"
and absolute power corrupts.
And
absolutely.
when absolute power becomes on you, you are not able to think. I made this point a few moments after this thing came in, and I said this thing is dead on arrival. And I'm also now making this point at the early part of 2022. Your talk, Mr. President, is dead on arrival. And it's not going to see the light of day. Yes, it's going to.
You think so? Because the president has approved the recommendations of a committee to review with dispatch 368 grazing sites across 25 states in the country to determine the level of encroachment. You know, speaking now, the ministers of agriculture from Adogbe now to Mahmoud, one of the issues is discussed with them is to go and get the gazette of the past republics, especially of the northern states. There are cattle routes and grazing grounds, and headers are confined to those areas. Those that go outside it will be arrested.
I know.
So they have to go back to that system again.
I know Dale Carnegie says you cannot win an argument. So you could be there making that point. Okay. I remain where I am, making my point, and I make that boldly, not because I have any power, but I have some modicum of common sense and wisdom, having gone to school. I know certain things are just not practicable and are impossible. I have seen situations where men of power have done things. Donald Trump was going to do even worse things against you know, the normal tenets of the American mores, ways of life. Mr. President is coming out. He has level of power for up till about May 29. Hopefully, we are going to be able to now then change government. Nigerians cannot wait to have another breath of life. He's set in his ways. He's talked about cultural aspect of things. There are cultural aspects to Fulani herdsmen outside Nigeria, and they are thriving. They have not been allowed to be grazing on plains and destroying. He made a statement yesterday that, well, the local people, why don't you go to the local people and say that they've always been
coexisting together,
so what has
and he does not understand why people used to coexist and now fighting.
Is that under his watch, he has allowed our borders to be open, and even his fellow Fulanis, who are governors, are saying, Mr. President, you cannot be bringing your cousins and your in-laws. They will come and spoil the peace of the land. Mr. President is asking that on national television, oblivious of the fact that the ban that he opened has made the horse to bolt, and we need to really put a lot of things back. Well, I hope my people will not die for lack of understanding. I have a modicum of understanding. I'm not saying I have all the knowledge, but I repeat my statement here that this is dead on arrival. Okay.
I hope that Mr. Fatuke knows what he's talking about, because if you're saying it's dead on arrival and we are amending the constitution, I don't know why you want to do it. It looks as if the federal government is set to lay off workers. That's another very tough one on the front page of the Nation newspaper this morning. Federal government is set to lay off workers. Severance package being worked out, say the minister, and Labour is kicking. Now, the federal government, unfolds a plan to reduce the size of its workforce. Government is working out an exit package for workers that will be affected. However, there was disquiet as Labour described the plan to sack workers as a reversal of the much advertised federal government employment drive. Minister Zainab Ahmed, Finance, Budget and National Planning Minister, said it was imperative to reduce the size of government because of the huge amount government spent on recurrent expenditure annually. Fears of rife that the measure